Okay, I think we can probably begin now. First of all, I think we can still hear a little bit of music. Thank you all so much for attending this webinar this morning. I know it's just after a bank holiday, so I'm sure many of you have lots of priorities and other things to do as well. So we really appreciate you taking the time to attend this morning. My job is basically just to introduce you to Herbert. I would imagine that many of you that are attending this morning already know Herbert and have probably attended an event or maybe a workshop from Herbert as speaker in the past. So Herbert is an award-winning author and teacher trainer. He's been a plenary speaker at many international conferences and has conducted workshops and seminars in more than 50 different countries. So very well traveled. For about 3 decades, Herbert has been carrying out research into findings in cognitive psychology, which has contributed largely to our books, to English language teaching in general. Herbert has developed and co-authored a number of best-selling course books and written numerous articles and resource books. And he's recently, together with Chris Jory, published Options for Secondary School. And the two of them have also just recently launched a resource book, Differentiation in ELT, and both of those have just been published by Hebling. So I hope that you have a great workshop, take away lots of inspiring, creative ideas from Herbert to brighten up your classroom. And don't forget to put your comments, your questions in the chat box, and we'll get to those a little bit later in the webinar. So at this stage, I'll hand you over to Herbert.
Thanks, Adrian, and thank you very much, Helbling and Bournemouth English Book Center for organizing this. We are a relatively small group today, and nevertheless, I'm very, very grateful that you have managed to join us, that you're giving us your time. This is all about helping all students reach their potential, differentiation, but also mixing the fun and the serious. And we have a special focus here on ELT summer schools in the UK, but also elsewhere. We believe that with Options, the new course we have just published, we have a number of very interesting features that might be of interest to you colleagues. Now, let me just start by actually quoting Earl Stevick, who once said, it's a very well-known dictum, that success in the foreign language class depends less on materials, techniques, and linguistic analysis and more on what goes on inside and between the people in the classrooms. When it comes to adolescents, when it comes to young teenagers, the inside and the between, what happens from a psychological point of view is actually probably even more important than with other age groups. So I'd quickly like to look at that first. I mean, young teenagers, adolescents are kind of teenagers, aren't they? They're not children anymore, and they're not proper teens yet. And interestingly, brain researchers and neurobiologists say that young people these days tend to mature later in life. So these teenage years actually seem to go up with some young people at least into their real teen years. Okay, for the teacher, teaching these young people is not always easy, as we know. This quotation stresses this. It's much harder to find a child cute if they are taller than you, I guess. And I think in many people's minds, size correlates with cognitive ability and emotional development. The presumption being that if a child is beginning to resemble an adult physically, they should behave like one too. Unfortunately, this is not the case. And we know that teenagers in general can be pretty difficult to teach. They can be provocative. They can be difficult in terms of classroom management and classroom dynamics. But at the same time, this is an age that is extremely important for the development of a young person. And so I would like to quote Dan Siegel here. He's a famous American psychologist, and he's written intensively about adolescents and teenagers. And he says the central idea is that in very key ways, the work, quote unquote, of adolescents, the testing of boundaries, the passion to explore what's unknown and exciting, can set the stage for the development of core character traits that will enable adolescents to go on to lead great lives of adventure and purpose. And I think this is one of the fascinating things about teaching teenagers, that we can actually respectfully influence them. And we know that if they have good rapport with the teacher, they're actually very grateful for this kind of leadership they can get. So it is, in a way, a bit of a tightrope walking act. We need to somehow balance quite a number of things. We need to balance certainly the serious with the fun. Young people want fun, but on the other hand, and that's maybe more the child part in them still, on the other hand, they want to be taken very seriously. And young people these days can have a lot of world knowledge. They have a lot of depth of knowledge also. So they want to be taken seriously also as far as addressing real world issues in the classroom is concerned. May I ask you to just type in your thoughts in the chat? The question is, what are the must-haves that a course book will ideally offer for your specific teaching situation? Please, could you type in just a few words, a few ideas? You're leaving me alone here. Okay. I think I have the wrong uh, setting here. Good video and good digital. Okay, thank you very much, Adrian. Is there anybody else who would like to say a few things here? What is it you would expect, ideally expect in a course book for teenagers, for adolescents? Okay, good. I'm not going to wait any longer. Let me just continue with my session. Hopefully, you will have some other things you'd like to comment on, or maybe if you have a question or whatever, just type them in the chat box. I'll be watching the chat box as we go along. I believe, and this is something that I've been focusing on recently in my own work, that when it comes to teenagers, I mean, like with any classroom is a mixed ability classroom. So taking the issue of differentiation seriously is a key point. And I like what Maria Eisenman in her book, Teaching English Differentiation and Individualization says. Each classroom is populated by individuals with different interests, skills, and abilities. Thus, a non-existent imaginary average student mustn't remain a model for language teaching. The question, of course, is always, how do we do that? Um, but let's first of all turn to the question, why should we differentiate? Obviously, the answer is so that all students can succeed and grow. Differentiated teaching provides appropriate challenge for all students in a class. It does so by responding to student differences in readiness, interest, and learning profile. To ensure all students master objectives, effective teachers plan lessons that incorporate adjustments for content, process, and product. Okay. It's, of course, something that sounds all extremely good in theory. The question is always, how do we do that? Especially, and most teachers I have been in contact with over the decades, and it's been a lot. It's been more than hundreds, I believe. Most teachers will actually answer, well, it sounds good in theories, but I don't have the time to differentiate. So let me first of all look at what science says, or as it is called these days, the new science of learning, spearheaded by the work of people like John Hattie, Marzano, and others. They have actually looked at hundreds of studies and developed meta studies that helps us to see what the most impactful teaching strategies are. And they have filtered out what they call a list of HITs. HITs stands for high impact teaching instructions. And these are the 10 most impactful teaching strategies. And when I looked at this list a few years ago, I thought, when it comes to ELT, when you look at these 10 most impactful strategies, we are actually really doing well. We are, I mean, when you look at this list here, we are, of course, setting goals before we go into our classrooms. We plan our lessons. We structure the lessons. We do explicit teaching. We give them worked examples. For example, when you do a grammar practice thing, we work, use pair work and group work and random pair and what have you. So we're doing all of those things, but maybe what's done a little bit less is differentiated teaching and learning. And before, I've put a few question marks there. Before the question marks were here, but I've also given you the answer already. Sorry, here we are. Okay, good. The effect size, before we look into differentiation further, let's talk about effect size. Effect size is a statistical means to measure how well an intervention, a pedagogical, an educational intervention, such as the 10 that are listed here, they actually looked into 120 altogether, how well it has worked in different contexts. And what Hattie and Marzano say, that if the effect size is about 0.2, it can be regarded as small. 0.5 can be regarded as medium, and anything that is 0.8 or larger can be regarded as large. And the fascinating thing is that differentiated learning, if done properly and if done systematically and regularly, can actually go up the highest in this list of the HITs, the high impact teaching strategies. Chris, Jory, and I have recently published. It's a very recent publication. Came out 2 weeks ago. It was launched at the IATEFL conference in Brighton on differentiation in ELT, where we are looking at the literature, the research, and where we're giving a range of practical tips on what the teacher can actually do in the classroom to differentiate. So there's this one thing, and of course, experienced teachers have a lot of strategies on how to make language that is more challenging, accessible to students who need more support, how they can get students to produce language if maybe they need support in that. We also believe, and this is what I'm going to show you when looking at options, that course books can make a difference. A course book could actually support students with their differentiated learning in a very significant way. And I'd like to look at the skills first of all. Now, this is a reading text from a unit on celebrities. Teens love celebrities. Quite often because they project onto them big human qualities such as genius and courage and love and tolerance, what have you, and these big human qualities are actually qualities they feel intuitively they need to develop in themselves in order to become mature and responsible adults. So this is a text I really like about Mo Salah, the famous Liverpool footballer. And it's this story, it's a true story, apparently, that was in quite a few of the UK newspapers. That one day this boy here and his brother were actually waiting in front of the stadium in Liverpool where the team was doing their training, and they were waiting for the stars to come out, hoping they could maybe take a selfie or get an autograph or what have you. And then what happened was that the gates of the stadium opened, and Mo Salah drove out very slowly in maybe his flashy sports car. And what happened? The two boys got so excited they started running after him. And Louis Fowler, the boy you can see in the photo, actually was so excited that he bumped into a lamppost and he broke his nose. You can see he's bleeding here. Mo Salah, who is said to be not only a brilliant footballer, but who is said to be also a very nice human being, watched the scene. He was looking in his rear mirror and he watched the scene. And when he saw what had happened, he immediately stopped his car, jumped out of the car, ran back to where the boy was, and hugged him and helped him. He found his family, he found the ambulance, and he was waiting there until the boy was taken care of. So I believe it's a beautiful story. It's a human quality story that teenagers like. The problem, though, is this is a B1 text on the Common European Framework grid. And as we know, the problem is if you have a B1 class, not every student is up to reading a B1 text. So the question is, how can we actually make this text more accessible for learners who need more support? Or how could we make it more challenging for learners who actually need to be challenged more? So this is what we do in options. Every single text is there for you and for learners in 3 different incarnations, so to speak. So this is the so-called standard version. You can see it, it's B1. Then I'll show you how they can access it in a minute. This is the more challenging text version. It's a B1 plus. the text is longer overall, the sentences are more complex, and there is also more challenging lexis. But as we know, there are kids who need more support. So those kids who are often frustrated because they find it difficult to actually get the gist out of a text that is too demanding for them, they actually get this basic text. And the basic text is on an A2 plus level. It's shorter than the standard text, minus 35% in length. The sentences are shorter, less complex. The lexis is simplified, and we're offering a different genre here that gives the students visual support and supports them in decoding the content of a text. I'd like to stress that in options, every main reading text in each unit throughout the 4 levels and every main reading text in each workbook unit offers these different texts: a standard version, a basic version, and an enriched version. And how this happens, I mean, the teacher gets the different versions. You could photocopy them and hand them out. But every student who has adopted, who's working with the book, also gets access to the ebook. And when they're working with the ebook, and they can do that at home, or if you have the opportunities in class, you can see here they have this little icon that says options, and then they click on basic, on basic or enriched text, and with that click, they immediately get the more challenging or the less challenging, the more supportive version. For the teacher, the question often is then, how do I bring them back? How do I bring my learners together again after they've read 3 different versions of a text? And what we do is we give them not only this one, but this is an example. We give them these tasks that are progressively more challenging. The further down they go here in the numbers. So 1, 2, and 3, they are just relatively simple true/false questions. 4, 5, and 6, they complete a sentence, and 7, 8, and 9 are more challenging questions. Some of them are also about reading in between the lines, and so on. Okay, so that's, we believe, a very important support that, as far as I know, no other course book has ever had so far. With listening, the challenges are normally different. What we find with listening is far less abstract than reading. So kids don't have as many problems with listening as they do with reading. There is one particular challenge with listening, and that is pace. So teenagers, although they are so cool, especially when they are among their peer groups, they easily. Laura, I can see you have said something about choosing the texts. Good point. You said you would actually, coming back to the reading text, you would actually choose for your students, and that's a very good idea, at least initially. Of course, with time, it would actually be good to help learners to make decisions for themselves. And the idea is, of course, also with the 3 different listening texts, the standard, the enriched, and the basic text, that a learner who's read the basic text can then be encouraged to actually try and read the standard one, or even have a go at the more challenging one, the enriched text. And we have seen that this can be enormously motivating, because normally when a teacher hands out easier tasks to the students who need more support and things stay there, then they might actually develop negative beliefs about themselves, like, well, I'm a weak student. I don't have talent for language learning. I'm hopeless. That's why the teacher gives me the simple tasks. Here, they have an option. Actually, we're giving them the simple task almost as a springboard um, um, onto the more challenging texts. And if they do that regularly, that can actually have a very motivating impact on them. Coming back to listening, with teenagers, the huge challenge, as I've said, is often pace. So when they hear a tape, an audio, and it's natural pace, doesn't even have to be specifically fast. When it's natural pace, they often go, I don't understand that. And of course, that stops them from listening more in a more focused way, which is needed in order to get used to somebody's voice and to the situation, to the context, and that would make it possible for them to actually understand an audio without problems. So what we have in with options is a digital player that allows you, of course, the teacher, or the students individually when they're doing their work, for example, at home or also in class if they're listening with earplugs, that they can reduce the pace. They can go down to 90, they can reduce further to 80, or they can go to 70%. And so they feel comfortable with the listening, and afterwards they can up the speed again to 100%. So again, the idea of differentiation as a means to developing students' capabilities. When it comes to writing and speaking, we are again working with tasks on different levels. You can see here with the writing tasks, we have two options, A and B. A usually have fewer steps, B have additional steps, and A has additional writing prompts and scaffolding. B has the more open tasks. I'm only speaking. Well, Adrian, I can speed up if you want me to. And the same with the speaking tasks, actually. They have two options, option A, option B. And again, with additional prompts and scaffolding for the less challenging task, and more open tasks for option B. So that's the differentiation aspect. I'm going to come back to it later when I talk about differentiating their learning and differentiating their own studying. So that is something I have left for the end of the webinar. This is now about the serious and the fun, mixing the serious with the fun. Really believe that this is a good way of getting students interested in the content of what we're doing with them. And one of the things that we can use to help them actually get in touch with the fun is use charming peer group models. Okay, so I'm going to play you. This is a series of teen videos, so kind of teen soaps. The title is The After School Club, and each one has two parts, part one, part two. we're going to look at this. This is used to introduce new language, and this is actually from the A1 level.
The after school club, come and meet the friends. It's the after school club, come and meet the friends.
Oh, hello. I'm Alyssa. What's your name?
Hi Alyssa, I'm Maya. I'm new here.
Welcome to the After School Club, Maya. Aha! Here are the others. Let me introduce you. Everyone's very friendly here. Lily, this is Maya.
Nice to meet you, Maya. Welcome to the club. Nice to meet you too.
Lily is very polite.
I don't live very close to the school. I live near Kingfisher Park.
Kingfisher Park. We often go there at the weekends.
Yes, we sometimes play tennis there. We aren't very good, but it's fun. Alyssa is very sporty. And who is that?
That's Oliver. He's really shy. He doesn't like to talk much, but he's very funny.
He likes to read. He's very clever. Let's go and say hi.
Hey Oliver, say hi to Maya. She's new.
Hi, Maya. Don't believe anything they say about me. It's not true.
What? Us? We never say bad things about you, Oliver.
So, is that everyone?
Me, Lily, Oliver. Someone isn't here.
Ahmed. Ahmed is always late.
Okay, and now the second part.
Ahmed. Ahmed is always late.
And here he is, Ahmed.
Ahmed, this is Maya. She's new.
Oh, hi.
What's the matter, Ahmed? You don't need to be so rude.
I'm sorry. It's just Mr. Wilson.
What about Mr. Wilson?
He always says, "Stop running, Ahmed. Slow down, Ahmed."
He does?
Yes, I'm sporty. I love running, but Mr. Wilson is always rude.
He isn't rude. I like Mr. Wilson. He's very helpful.
And funny.
Yeah, he's my favourite teacher.
Well, he isn't my favourite teacher. I don't like him at all.
Actually, I know Mr. Wilson.
You do? How?
Yes, I know him very well. He's my dad.
Well, he isn't that bad. I mean, I quite like him. It's just...
I'm joking, Ahmed.
You mean he isn't your dad? Oh, you're funny.
No, he isn't my dad.
That's good. because he's super mean. Mr. Wilson is a mean teacher.
Actually, he's my uncle.
Good afternoon. And for those of you who didn't know, Mr. Wilson is in the building.
I hope you liked that. So charming peer group models are, of course, important because they offer good models for the children's own pronunciation. They want to imitate them. And that is key. I'd like to have a look straight away now at grammar. Grammar is one of the things that not too many teenagers love and like, which is a pity because we often do. I think teens need a safe and challenging approach to grammar, okay? And we must not forget about the fun aspect here. And I'll give you an example of what we do. So we introduce new language in meaningful context, like this SOAP, the After School Club, that you find at the beginning of every unit in levels 1 and 2. In levels 3 and 4, we have a different video. I think an inductive approach to rules can be very helpful because at this age, they do start thinking about the regularities of language, and they do want to be challenged cognitively also. Receptive exercises to help understand meaning, extremely important. We have plenty of them in options. And of course, also productive exercises to practice grammar. I'm not going to show you examples of that, but what I am going to show you an example of is the kind of rhythmic support we give students. Rhythm and patterns, rhythm and structure have shown to be somehow connected in the human brain. That's why we, for example, remember song lyrics relatively easily, because you have tune and you have rhythm that supports the understanding here. What we have in options is grammar raps, and I'm delighted to say we've actually worked with two real rappers here, a male and a female voice, as you will see. And I think the quality shows. On top of that, we have visuals, we have animation that supports the remembering of the structures. I'll play you a very easy, early one. This is about past tense. And then I'll show you one on the past passive from one of the upper levels. Here we go.
And now clap, clap, clap for the grammar rap. And today it's
Past simple.
yeah, yeah. I went. Ha. You didn't go. Nah. He knew. Yeah, yeah. She didn't know. Ha. We left. Uh-huh. They didn't leave. There was a party for Maya and Steve. Yoo-hoo!
So that's form drill, basically, with a bit of fun. And now we are adding a bit of narrative context.
And now clap, clap, clap for the grammar rap. And today it's
Past simple.
Oh, sorry, that's the same one.
for the grammar rap. You need to clap, clap, clap. But don't stop there, there's more to share.
That's part 2 now.
I went to the party, but you didn't go.
Yeah.
He knew when it started,
Alright.
but she didn't know.
Let's get it.
We left really early. They didn't leave till late.
Alright.
The party was a disaster.
Yeah.
It really wasn't great. They danced really badly. We didn't dance at all. David spent all night looking at the wall. You wore your best clothes.
Okay, so humor plus rhythm plus rhyme plus the visuals that help retain language
For
and
the
structures.
grammar.
And I'm going to show you another one now, which, as I said, is about the past passive. Here we go. No, we don't go.
For the grammar rap, you need to clap, 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 but don't stop there, there's more to share. Once I was told about a very funny crime, not the kind of crime that happens all the time. 3 young men were in California on holiday. They were told by someone how to have a fun day in that town. There was an amazing zoo. It was filled with small birds and big animals too. The men were taken there by a nice taxi driver, but the zoo door was closed. It closed at 5. And then the 3 men saw a window wasn't locked. They could get inside. The window wasn't blocked. Inside the zoo there were no people at all, just lions and monkeys and a giraffe so tall. Then a monkey was stolen by these 3 silly men. They got back to their hotel just shortly after 10. The monkey was noisy and banged on the floor, so the police were called by the guests next door. The police were told about what the 3 men did, and the men were arrested by a policeman called Sid. The men went on trial, a decision was made. They weren't sent to prison, but a fine was paid. And the poor little monkey, what did he do? He was sent straight back to his home at the zoo.
Okay, so that's, as I said, a more challenging one from level 4. Now, the same, of course, is true of consolidating vocabulary work. In levels 1 and 2, we use songs to support vocabulary work. This is from the opening unit of level 2, so pretty early in the learning process. I'm gonna play the song, and I'm asking you the question, who is the singer's best friend? Here we go.
Friend, you listen to what I say. You are always there for me and help me through the day. I'm often a bit shy and don't know what to say, but you are very sporty and always want to play. Can you keep a secret? What do you say? Do you wanna play with me? Are we best friends today? Can you keep a secret? What do you say? Do you want to play with me? Are we best friends today? Are we best friends today? I am very happy each day when I see you. Your eyes are green and shiny and your ears are lovely too. You know we are best friends, as everyone can see. But when you scratch the sofa, my mother shouts at me. Can you keep a secret? What do you say? Do you wanna play with me? Are we best friends today? Can you keep a secret? What do you say? Do you want to play with me? Are we best friends today?
So that's a song. Who is the singer's best friend? It is, of course, I'm waiting. Okay, you must know it. A cat, absolutely, yes. Humans don't normally say to each other, your eyes are green and shiny and your ears are lovely too. And humans don't scratch sofas, maybe. So it is a cat. I agree. Somebody said, oh, by the way, thanks for your lovely feedback. I've read all your feedback with great delight. It's a fact that not many course books use songs these days. I find it's a pity. In levels 1 and 2, we decided to go for original songs. So we wrote the lyrics, and we had an excellent musician who can do all styles, and I think the songs are really wonderful. So let's move on quickly. The next thing I'd like to talk about very briefly is the power of stories. I hope I don't need to convince you how important stories are, especially with the age group. I have written a book on story-based language teaching for Helbling with Jeremy Harmer, where we lay out some of the key aspects of working with stories. When it comes to language learning, of course, we have a range of reasons why we should stories, from sparking the imagination, stimulating curiosity. Stories help brain development, improve their focus and concentration, sharpen memory, etc., etc., etc. And one genre that teenagers and teenagers particularly love is fantasy. So you're going to watch a bit from the options Harry Potter, so to speak. No, joking. Fantasies, like Harry Potter, actually, strong emotional contrast, good versus evil. A psychologically more complex story structure than for primary children. I'm using arguments from Kieran Egan's work, who wrote about teaching as storytelling, who elaborates on the importance of stories also with teenagers. They need characters they can identify with or strongly dislike. Then there is a fascination with extreme, hence also the fascination with fantasies. And it's kind of like a meta possibility to look at their own world. We have a story in levels 1 and 2, a series of video stories in levels 1 and 2 called The Secret Spring. And this is the content framework. A young boy discovers a pool of water in his family's house, and that is a secret spring. In that pool, he sees the face of a young wolf. So there are two worlds. This is one world, and there is another world, the forest world. It's a world of dinosaurs, strange animals, etc. And there, a wolf discovers another pool of water, and in the water she sees the face of a young boy. And then the boy and the wolf actually meet. And I'd just like to play you maybe not one full episode, just a few minutes, so you can see the quality of this video animation. We are extremely grateful to Helbling for having actually developed such a beautiful video. Have a look. This is episode 3 from the first year.
Run, little wolf, run!
Whoa! Who are you? This is my house. Where's the wolf?
Where's the wolf? I'm the wolf.
What? No, you're a girl. Who are you?
My name's Jenna. I'm a wolf, not a girl. And what's this?
A dress. Your dress.
Who are you? Where am I?
My name's Aiden. And you are a girl. You're in the cellar of my family's house.
Let me out! I want to go home!
It's okay. Please, we can help you.
We? Who is we?
Me and my sister Victoria. Jenna, it's okay. You can come out. Please, you're safe here.
Promise?
Of course.
Okay, so that is part of this episode 3. It's a story where, of course, the two become friends and they have adventures together in both worlds, in the real world and in the fantasy world. And kids get totally involved emotionally in this. And that's, of course, one of the secrets, or it's not a secret really, of how we can actually motivate them to learn language too. I've said quite a few things about fun, but we also need to mix the fun with the serious, as I've mentioned. We, for example, have learning to learn pages where we do not just say, do this, do that. We actually draw on research. We explain to them, this here is about learning to learn, phone and music while you study. And there was some interesting research done, which was basically about giving kids challenging cognitive tests. And what the researchers saw, that when kids had their own phones lying next to them on the desk, even when they were not using them, the results were less good than a control group where the kids had to hand in the phones at the beginning before the test. They also tried putting a phone on the desk where the children were doing those tasks, and the phones were not their own. And the phones on top of that were switched off. Again, the kids who had the phones lying next to them achieved results that were less good. So we are talking about that. We're giving kids reasons why actually they shouldn't distract themselves using their phones while learning. Serious topics are important. Real world topics are important. Jay Giet says the plasticity of the teenage brain suggests that constructive dialogues with teens about issues such as freedoms and responsibilities, so these are just 2 examples, can influence the child's development. We use the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, as a basis for 17 spreads in the 4 books of options, the students' books. Each starts with a short video and ends with a project and includes also a reading text, which has clear kind of like quality, of course. I'm not actually going to play much of this video, maybe just 20 seconds.
Hi there, I'm Mia, and this is Jack.
Hi everyone.
Today, we're going to talk about being a tourist, which is lucky because Jack has just been on holiday. So, how was it, Jack?
Well, it was okay, but we stayed in a really popular holiday town. There were lots of crowds and it was so big.
Okay, I'll stop it here. As you can see, this sustainable development goal is about responsible tourism. About tourism that doesn't damage the environment, okay? Culture, of course, very important, and that is also a real world thing for many teenagers. They would like to know about teens in other countries, gives them a mirror to reflect their own life situation, talk about their own situation, talk about people in other countries. Learning for life, where we have these lovely vlogs, video blogs. We have 2 kids, a boy and a girl in each level, and they give tips for life. This is also about critical thinking, developing various cognitive capabilities. I don't have the time to show the video here. And last but not least, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about supporting students with their learning to learn. Options has a whole range of digital learning tools. Cyber homework is something that you can give your students twice during each unit. They can do their homework online. The homework is corrected by the system. You don't need to do any correction. You can see their results. You can print the results out. You can see some statistical figures on how many homeworks they have or haven't done and how well they have done, etc. A digital vocabulary trainer, a personal learning track, and there is a karaoke feature, but it's used in connection with developing speaking skills. Dialogues in each unit where learners can listen to the dialogues first and then decide which of the 2 voices or both voices they want to speak. And they will see the lines like in a karaoke. They can listen to their own performance afterwards. The key thing I wanted to mention is that based on a paper by Danlowski and others in 2013, we looked at what are the most effective learning techniques. And basically there are 2. The first one is practice testing. Danlowski and his team have shown that many of the study skills that students normally use, such as highlighting with a colorful pen, or reading and rereading and rereading and rereading, are pretty useless. He says there is 2 very powerful ones: practice testing and distributed practice. And this is what our personal learning track is based on. So in practice, what we do is when students have done the student's book and the workbook unit, they do online a practice test on the language and the skills developed in the unit. They see the results. The results are auto-corrected. You don't have any work with that. And from there, they go on a personal learning practice track. In other words, the system gives students further practice depending on how well they have achieved in listening, in reading, in vocabulary, and in grammar, and also in written dialogue, so dialogue work. They then, let's say a student had 100 out of 100 possible points in grammar, they don't need to practice grammar. But if they have problems with the vocabulary, they will be given more vocabulary practice. They do this. They can do 2 actually test practices, and then they do test 2. And because test 2 is on the same level as test 1, normally what they get is they can see their improved results. Students could use, if you know anybody here is from a summer school, if you adopted options, students could use all of the personal study features in options for a whole year after taking the summer course. And this is where I'm going to finish now, and I'll pass the mic to Adrian.
Thanks, Herbert. That was brilliant. Really great. Actually, I think the word to use is riveting, and that was what Laura Hebden said. And actually, I think we should probably end the webinar with Laura's put a beautiful little wrap into the box. Today we heard an incredible show. Herbert Puchta, way to go! You taught us to up our games, never a dull moment. No one is the same. I think that summed it up quite nicely. So thank you to Laura, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of Options sent to you as soon as possible. I don't really have much more to say. It was great, really, really great. I would advise teachers to go along to the website, because the website link was at the beginning. Go there, watch all of the videos, and download, have a look at the content. There are links to the eZone to see the digital features. So I would say that's a good place to go. Also, we spoke to Nick Edwards, Bournemouth Centre, the book centre at the beginning, who will be communicating with teachers some information on how they can get inspection copies. There'll be flip books available for teachers, and there'll also be discount available should teachers' schools decide that they want to adopt. So there'll be more communication about that going forward. And I think on the screen you can browse the interactive brochure. So there'll be more communication coming in the next few days. So I would say look out for that. And so thank you to Herbert. Thank you to Helping English for producing such great, inspiring, creative material. And thank you to the teachers and schools that took the time to come along today. So, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.